sorry, 6 months, then it reverts back to R1. The structures was tore down, so it reverted back to the R1 zone.
Okay. And when I was in college, I did live in a dorm over at Pitt State, and he was right. As a college student, we started looking for housing at the end of the school year when we were going to go to college. So I agree with him on that. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mark. Anyone else?
I'm Mike Keel, 1628 Ashwood. Probably fairly unpopular, but I rise in support of the dormitories. Having been associated with the college for a number of years, as a trustee at one time during the 90s, and watching our academic and our athletic recruiters sitting down and talking to parents of young men and young ladies. You know, the conversation goes something like this. Well, where do you play? What kind of practice facilities do we have? The academic side, where's the library? What kind of assistance can we get with study halls? Those types of things, academic assistance. And then the last question is, where are your dormitories where my son or daughter is going to live? And we have to say, well, you'll have to find those on your own. There's a need for dormitories. I cannot quantify, and maybe there's somebody that can, but I can't quantify the number of possible students that we might lose to the college because of not having dormitories. Some of them just don't ever come back. They don't come back and enroll here after visiting. So yes, I understand that this is a very heated subject in the community. I don't relish your job as commissioners, and but what I ask you to break it down to is, yes, these plans have been submitted. Mr. Albertini has said that the fire code goes into the building permit situation as it comes along later. So I just wanted to let you know that I rise in support of the dormitories, and make your decision.
I meant to say that too, what he said. I support him.
My name is Jody Thompson. I live at 407 Murdoch Drive. There's a lot of reasons that's coming into play here that is to make things quite confusing, because a lot of people have agendas, and I know all of you know what those agendas are. I only have one, and that's to find a place for young people to come in to this college. I dedicated and still involved with 40 years plus of working with the college, 30 years of it, recruiting, trying to bring people in. Not only the athletes themselves, but almost they have their girlfriends, or brother comes with them, and you finding places to stay. Finding places to stay that you would want your children to live in. Okay, my two sons lived in Parsons 2 years. When we went off to college, Fort Hays State, we put them in the dorms. By the time they were seniors, they had moved out because of, restrictions in dorms. But that's the purpose. The dorms we had before were unsupervised. It was chaotic. You know who supervised the housing as long as I was working as a coach there? Me and my wife did. House checks, cleaning, whatever it is. We need places. That 20-year loan doesn't seem long to me. 20 years, I'm going to go back 20 years, 20 years after I retired from Labette. There was no dorms. There's no dorms there now. To me, I'll make this statement, and it's not really accurate, but to me, a college without a dorms is almost a joke. It's like a town without a theater, movie theater. That's a poor comparison, but it's like, it's not really a town. It's not really a college. I have been ashamed talking to parents, and I'm not the only one. I will say this, though. I don't envy your jobs. This is coming at you both ways. But I urge you, just get back on the zoning thing and get it applied, because all these other reasons don't mean anything. Thank you.
Hi, Chris Clisham, 405 Parkway. I love college.
Could you say your name again?
I'm sorry, Chris Clisham, 405 Parkway. I don't live anywhere near where the dorms are proposed, but I'm a big supporter of dorms. In Columbia, where I went to, in Columbia, Missouri, the dorms were nowhere near a residential area. They were nowhere near a residential area. The closest university-related properties to the residential areas were the Greek fraternities and sororities. And on that note, I know a few weeks ago I read an article in the paper, I think it was a letter to the editor, that was proposing, you know, why this particular location. I know it's close to the college, but there's some other vacant land. It's kind of an eyesore that I drive down on Main every day. It's not that far from the college. I know it's a floodplain, but I think we need to think outside the box a little bit. I'm not saying that other properties can't be built across from these homes, but I think we have to respect the people that own those homes. I'm a homeowner. I would hate to have to deal with that. I don't want people to lose money having bought properties that are now vacant and they wanted to do something with, but there's other vacant land not far from the college. Why can't we think about utilizing that? And I know you know where I'm talking about. But just remember, in a lot of the big university towns, the dorms are nowhere near these nice residential areas, and there's a reason for that. But again, I'm a proponent for dorms, and I don't hate that community college. I love college. I love classes. I just think maybe we can, before we go too far down, maybe there's some other properties and areas we can look at. Thank you.
Could you specifically tell us what property you're
Oh,
thinking
well,
about?
the properties that I'm talking about, maybe there's a FEMA problems after the tornado, maybe that's the reason that there's no properties here, but down by where we were looking for the dog park, you know, that big flat area that's behind where the nail place is. It's not that far from the college, yes, it's on the
The old trailer court.
Well, I maybe not that far. Yeah, it's across from the skating rink.
201 South 11.
It's a city park, it's a
Yeah, I know.
floodplain, you can't build in a floodplain.
Well, but aren't there some remediation you can do?
Well, you have to raise it, yeah.
That's just curiosity. I don't know anything about development, but there's other vacant areas that really look bad, and maybe they be far away.
That's going to go into a question that I have. When you were, thank you, when you were looking at places to build upon, Parsons, was there any other options for you?
Not as far as we're concerned. Our success has been based on location of the facility and its proximity to campus. And I beg to differ on location of those housing. We're in this business, we see it every day. The properties that are most successful are either on or adjacent to campus. Kids want to walk to classes, they want to move back and forth between classes. It's part of our formula for success.
It's true. That's true for my college students. I hated walking around today.
Parsons. My concern is this could have been eliminated. I've listened to the professionalism. We had professionals working on this, but we're not professional enough to find out we gotta have plans and things in order and zoning before we do this. We told them to get it, not get it zoned, just go to buy-in and what, and said, it's gonna be there. You gotta guarantee. Who's responsible for that? If they've dealt with this in the past, did they ever have to zone anywhere else? You get it done. For instance, Larry Allen just got it done properly.
You need to stay on the
Huh?
dorms. We're talking about the dorms now, not.
Well,
not
zoning,
now.
zoning, properly zoned. He done it before he put the business in. They should have had it zoned, all this taken care of, and the proper plans. That's a lack of professionalism, all I gotta say. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Jim Jackson. Jackson, 1415 Belmont. I think the closest person to the dorms I spoke so far. I live a block to the south from there, and you know, I've been in that house for 25 years, and I just got my tax statement, and I put new windows, new siding, new roof on it, got a new porch on it, and the valuation went down. So it's gonna probably continue to go that direction. I'm not opposed to dormitories. I just think there were some other options too, as far as where they could be moved to. There's a whole vacant lot that the college already owns, that they park their buses there and everything right there on Main Street, which would have been right there close to the campus. And the other thing that concerns me is the 20 years at 84%. I don't know about you guys, but this guy here that gave the loan and is part of Bluffstone owners, he should have excused himself in, preliminary talks about this. It's totally unethical for somebody to come in there and write their own ticket. That's about it.
Good points. I'll be really brief. 99 parking spaces, 144 beds. I don't know if our rules really apply with dormitories. Something that I think I need to bring out is Bluffstone shouldn't be totally surprised by having problems with fire marshals. In my studies, I found out, in my research, I found that they have another project that's had problems getting a certificate of occupancy because of fire-related safety items. They might have it now, but the last time I looked, they didn't. And one other thing, I'd like to thank Martha. Basically, what Bluffstone was trying to do when they came in here, they wanted to get those houses cheap as they could, so they weren't honest and open with people, and they didn't go through all these procedures. Well, I have in my possession a letter where I'd gone in and talked to Martha, and she told me everything I needed to know. I mean, didn't take a half of MBA and some business experience, and just took a little common sense. And I think it's outrageous that they're trying to blame the city and the citizens in this town. But when I got my thing, it said basically this. I went to the person, was upright, and I got an option on it. I said, I will buy this from you depending on my ability to get it rezoned. I listened to what Martha said, and she was most helpful, and we had no problems like this. And I think it's just outrageous. Bluffstone's trying to blame us and our city on their problems.
Yeah.
I'm Donna Seeley. I live within spitting distance of the dorms at 1500 Broadway. And something that's bothering me, have you thought that the highway going south, is that 59, I don't know what it is, that is a block from the dorm. The highway 400, that goes to 400 going east, is within a block of the dorm. It's just one neat little square there. Any of the people coming in or going out on those highways, if they want to, can just sit right down to that dorm, which seems to me like that's going to be such a congested area. Since I live on the corner, I know what the traffic is like coming up to the south on 15th Street. And I also know what a narrow little dinky street that is in front of the dorms on 15th side. I called the Parsons son, and ask them to show a larger drawing of that, because I clearly studied that, and I can't make heads or tails of it. It looks to me like there's only one entrance on the south side, and maybe two single doors on the north. I know I'm probably wrong. And there is a retaining wall right there on the corner, which goes downhill a lot to 13th, to 14th Street. 15th has the retaining wall. I assume they are going to complete that retaining wall. Do you know if that's in the plans? You don't know? Well, it's going to be interesting how they slide that down, but since it's not level. And I thought they were building a basement, but it turned out they used all that dirt to fill up the big hole, so I can't sit from my house and tell anything about what's going on. But my question is, I want to know about how that parking is going to take place. I'm under the assumption that there will be parking in front of the homes in the 1400 block on the south side. Is that correct?
As it stands now, yes.
All right. And no parking in front of the dorm right across the street? No parking there. So there will be no drive-in there to park. All right, then there's stairs. Those stairs, I assume, go up to the level where everything will be, the foundation. So where do they go in? Where are they going to go in? They're going in what's now the alley. Is that where they will be going in and coming out?
Being the front of it, the front of the building.
No, there's not going to be an entrance with a driveway in front, is there?
Facing Broadway.
Facing 15th Street. I want to know how I've been told they're going to park all the way across the back of the building. Okay, so they've got to get in there someplace. I assume they will go in the alley. What's now what I call the alley behind the filling station. So then, if a fire truck wants to get in there, and all those cars are parked there, how are they going to fight a fire, let alone 4 stories tall? I'm sorry I missed whenever the firemen spoke, if they did. But this fire thing really bothers me a lot. I don't want to sit over at my house and watch a bunch of kids burn to death. But the building, it's, my friend next door, she went to Tulsa because she wanted to see a 4-story high building. And she said, you won't believe how high 4 stories is. But she said, it would just make me sick to look out at that 4-story building right across the street from me. And my question is, and I know they're not going to like it or want to do it, but it can be done. It would make so many people happy if that atrocious building, who some architect that didn't have much imagination drew up, and put a church steeple on the front, which doesn't go anything like with the Zetmeyer building. What's the idea of mixing up all these? I mean, you guys realize what that place is going to look like? A big block, and then on the front, on the east, a steeple going in like you're going into a church. That's just the most unimaginative drawing. Hello, Mr. Architect, if you're here, I'm sorry. But that building could be built with some height and some low places, different heights, and bunch it up, not just make it straight. You've got room to go back if you buy a piece of property, to go back and have something that's nice instead of that hokey looking building that you've got going now. And one thing I passed by was, darn it, well, I guess I'm going to have to skip that. Anyhow, I would really like to see them send that drawing back to an architect and have something made a little, oh, I know what I was going to say. I know that it costs less to build a rectangular building with no heights, no depths, no nothing, just a square box. That doesn't cost as much as making a square box and a rectangle and a tower. But that would be pretty. It wouldn't just completely ruin the neighborhood. So I guess I'm here to say, down with that building. I don't like it, and I don't want to have to look at it. And you can look at me And see, I won't be looking at it many more years, but somebody else